Hello, I'm Joshua of Milestone Play. I'm a professional game master, and once more we have an end of year review and a perspective on the year to come. So we're going to take a look back at 2025 and then look forward to what we have brewing for 2026. Let's get going. "2025 was the year of improvement. Here at Milestone Play, we use yearly themes to help us define our goals and form a structure for what we want out of the coming year. And in our video last year, we defined 2025 to be our year of improvement. We came up with a list of things that we wanted to get better at, a list of things that we wanted to do. And so we're going to take a look at those predictions, look at those goals, and see how well we lived up to them. And then we're also going to take a look at everything else we did last year that really wasn't planned for. The first thing on our list was an improved calendar. And yeah, we had it improved, we used it, and as the year went on, we actually changed it a little bit. Not a lot, but we made adjustments as things continued on, especially near the end of 2025, to better prepare us going into 2026. So overall, use the calendar, awesome. Now, some of the goals for the calendar were to, instead of being very strict on what we're doing on any given day, give a little bit more loose guidelines. Those worked out well for us at the beginning. And then for some things like general video production, we began to fall off. And then as we started doing more other things, we became very specific on those. Some of our bare totem open game day things, we were very much, this is what we're doing on these days. And then we stopped doing that. And so we've kind of ebbed and flow on the, do we need to be strict on what's on the calendar? Do we need to be loose? Having too high of expectations can lead to some failures and not being able to meet those specific expectations. And so it's just not worth doing it whatsoever. Not the best mindset, but we're working through it. Something else we added to the calendar was a monthly event, which we continued throughout the year. It gave us something new to think about every coming month instead of just, okay, what is the typical thing that I'm doing? What's something new to try, something new to shake things up? And so that was fun. Some of them were really good events. Some of them lackluster. Some of them didn't have as many people joining in as I would have wished, but you throw stuff out there, you see what lands, and then you adjust going forward. Something else we wanted to improve on was advertising. Making flyers, posting on different social media, making it known what we're doing throughout the months and weeks, making our presence more visible to those that care to catch a glance. We started to get our footing on it. We continued to make the calendars and posters that we could take to game stores and stuff. The game stores we took them to changed. We'll get to that. But we also started doing more digital content for flyers. We started producing things that we could post weekly in terms of what we had coming up, putting them on our Discord, on our Facebook, on our YouTube, all sorts of stuff like that. And so that was going really well. And then I fell off of it because that is also a theme. We're working on getting things actually grounded into place. Last year, we also mentioned we'd be going to Gen Con and trying to do a player meetup. We went to Gen Con. We did a player meetup. It had fewer players than was expected. Some players couldn't show up that thought they might be able to, but gather some players together. I also mentioned Critical Role. Did not plan on seeing the Critical Role live show at Gen Con. A player invited me anyways. That was a surprise. That was fun. That was great. I'm glad it happened. I also said I'd be going to no other conventions that year. That was a lie. Now, I wasn't performing at other conventions. I wasn't running games and stuff, but I did go to the Lilac City Comic Con, which there's a vlog of it right there. That was tons of fun. Was not expecting it. Probably am going to go next year because I can walk there and it's easy. The final thing that I listed that I wanted to improve was my game Heroic Potential. And I put a lot of work into Heroic Potential over the last year. So much so, it's no longer called Heroic Potential. That's the core system. That's like, you play D&D, that uses the D20 system. Heroic Potential, core system. But at this point, we've developed it further into Herald's Decree. And I'm still doing a lot of work on it. Still got a lot of work to do, but I wanted to improve it, and I did. I also questioned whether or not I would have like a standing player group to continue test playing. I've had a couple players hit or miss on it over the last year, but we're working on that. We're improving that, and I'm really excited for Herald's Decree. I really like this game. It combines a lot of the stuff that I've been working on for a long time. If you've watched any of the other weird game systems that I've run on this channel in my recorded game section, there are inspirations there. There's taking the things that worked in those games, pushing them forward. Now, those games, still their own thing. I love pulp action. I want to run more of it. And there's some of that stuff that influence Herald's Decree. But there's also stuff that like is not going to be brought into this game. That's, that is a pulp action thing, and we'll save it for that. Grab some stuff from a crossover codex, some ideas that were designed there, but really fleshing them out. That was really meant to be something for a big event and allowing for things to kind of mix together. Uh, I've talked to players that could be an excellent kind of digital game, but for now, uh, full force, Herald's Decree, fleshing out the heroic potential system into the full fantasy adventure that I wish it to be. And then maybe in the future, we can get a Western version, or a cyberpunk, or a sci-fi, or a musical, or anime. There's a bunch that I want to do with heroic potential, but for now, Herald's Decree is a thing. Keep an eye out for more updates on it because it's awesome. It's going great. So those are the things I talked about last year in the perspective for 2025. What else happened that wasn't officially planned, wasn't known, wasn't fully locked in? Well, the biggest thing is Milestone Play moved. I'm no longer in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now I'm in Spokane, Washington. That's why I can walk to Lilac City Comic Con. So yeah, that was a big thing. That was a really big thing. That continues to be a big thing. And we're still dealing with the ramifications of that being a big thing. And we're going to list some of those ramifications coming up as we had things happen that we weren't fully planning on happening at the beginning of last year. First off, our in-person gaming has wildly increased. Previously, all of our in-person games professionally were just at Gen Con. But now we're doing a lot more stuff in person. With a little bit of rounding error, all of these games are currently happening at Bear Totem Table and Tankard. Seth, the owner there, fantastic individual, awesome at building communities, and this is a game store that, while it does board game nights, while it has Magic, while it has these other things, is a store built around role-playing games. And it is a fantastic community that I've gotten to be a part of. Now, most of the games I'm running right now are advertising games during their Thursday night drop-in D&D nights and their Friday drop-in every other TTRPG nights. But just because they're advertising games for me doesn't mean that they're not good for me. Yes, I need to advertise. People need to know who I am so they'll hire me. But also, I just moved across country. Maybe socializing with people and forming relationships, peerships, friendships, maybe that's a healthy thing for me. Not maybe, it is. It very much is. So I will continue to be running as much as I can my advertising games for their drop-in nights where they just have a bunch of local game masters that come in and run games, and that's really great. That's a fantastic thing. But also, running these games, I've gotten some players begin to show interest. I have already been hired for one D and Disney game via my advertising stuff. That went fantastic. And I have another one shot set up for the coming February. I've also been brought in to help with other one shot events, so this is a really great place. Currently looking at doing an in person campaign, whether at Bear Totem or otherwise. And all of this is based around just going to Bear Totem and helping them with their one shot nights and just generally getting myself into a community here. I have never been inside an RPG game store community. I've always felt kind of clicked out by them from experiences growing up. So this is a really great place. I also helped out with the Star Wars multi-table event. That was the first game I ever ran at Bear Totem. No one had played with me there. I hadn't run anything there. It was just a thing that was happening shortly after I started looking around, seeing what was available in Spokane. The lead game master wrote this system himself, and I was suddenly running a game I had played one time. So, okay, I guess I had played a trial game like 2, 3 days before this event happened just to like learn the system a bit. But no, that was crazy. Depending how you look at it, that might be the craziest thing I've done as a game master. Now, not a professional game master, but just a game master is having kind of played a game one time as a player and then help run my first multi-table event in a Star Wars game, not my forte. Yeah, this was crazy. I also helped run games at a gaming tent at the Spokane Renaissance Fair. That completely unplanned for. Another opportunity that just being here and being in Bear Totem and having connections has allowed me to begin exploring these other opportunities. And then I forgot when I was talking about Gen Con, but I also ran a horseback riding LARP. Now, you haven't seen that yet because I have been delaying the vlog. Don't worry, like I'm gonna get that video done. It's the next on the list. I promise. It's coming. I don't It may not be the video I want it to be, but it needs to get done. So the next video on this channel you'll see is going to detail how I ran a horseback riding LARP the same week of Gen Con. That okay. Not the Star Wars thing. That might have been the craziest thing I've done. This job is crazy. The opportunities I'm having here are crazy. This is Thank you for coming along on the journey on all these weird things I get to do. The last category of unplanned things for 2025 is YouTube related. I made multiple videos for community events. I did my second Monster Week video, which could kind of see that coming having done the first one. Let's try and keep it up. But then I started seeing videos from the channel Tales from Elsewhere and started watching some of their design stuff. And then they started doing community design challenges. And so I actually got to put some of my heroic potential, Herald's Decree, game information online. You've probably seen some of those videos, all based off of participating in these community events. Now, I have fallen off them since the first two big ones. I need to get back involved in things like that, but I made community stuff. I've started commenting on YouTube channels. I never participate on online communities. It gives me anxiety. I don't know these things, but I started and hopefully I continue. I want to continue. I need to continue. So yeah, I've done stuff on YouTube this year that I did not plan on doing, and I I need to get back to it. I really need to get back to it. And with that topic, we get onto our perspective of 2026. The theme for 2026 is going to be commitment. I moved out to Spokane. I've started to try to run in person games out here, get into the community out here. I've started doing flyers and then the digital flyers that kind of waned a bit, doing a lot more big YouTube stuff, and then that kind of wanes a bit. And like, no, I need to do this. Like, things are working out, things are going great, opportunities are presenting themselves. And there are things that I see that I've done that are things that I enjoy, that I like having had done. And now I just need to buckle down. I need to commit to some of these things. I need to accept that, like, yeah, this is happening. This is happening. And I need to put my mind into a position that facilitates that. Take the things that I know I want, take the things that I have enjoyed when they are done, and commit to getting more of them done. I'm currently working on increasing in person gaming opportunities. That is happening. I need to lock in on recording games. I've had a couple games recorded on this YouTube channel, but they're all my own stuff. They're not Dungeons and Dragons. They're not big known RPGs that other people know, other people are aware of, and other people can see and go, yes, I like how he runs that system. I want to hire him. Over the last couple months, I've been trying willy nilly to get some players together to record some games of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that for good advertising. But now I need to buckle down. I need to do it. Instead of this would be a good idea if I did it, I need to do it. I need to put the time in. I need to do it. We're doing it. I also need to simplify my video production pipeline. I go through these big phases of throughout the beginning of the year producing a bunch of videos. And then by the time I get to Gen Con and I've recorded multiple craft making videos, and then Gen Con happens, I'm tired, I get back, I dawdle through getting those videos edited. I burn myself out. And then there are 2, 3, 4 months where I am not making videos. That has to change. I need to simplify the pipeline. Yes, I need high production videos. I need to do the big ones, but also, I just need to make more. And to do that, I need to simplify the pipeline. I need to make it easier to make these videos. I need to not so much lower my standards on the videos, but just accept the realities of what is needed to make an 80% video instead of worrying about every video being 100%. Things are better done than perfect. A perfect video is never going to be published. And then the biggest commitment of this year is going to be returning to Gen Con in full force. In last year's video, I said I'd be going to Gen Con. I wanted to do a player meetup. And then I moved to the Pacific Northwest. I decided I'd still go. I decided, hey, this will be a good thing. It'll allow me to come back, see friends, all that sort of stuff. And then I didn't get all of my applications in as soon as I could have because I was still worried about getting everything done for the move. and this and this and this. So I ran fewer events than I wanted to last year, but I had more time to spend with friends, and it was fun. It was great. It was a wonderful opportunity. This year at Gen Con, I need to go in full force. Last year, I did a little bit during the day at Gen Con, and then I would return to the home of my friends. We would hang out through the evenings. I only spent half the time at Gen Con. This coming year, I will be getting a hotel room. I will be running events in the morning, through the day, into the afternoon, possibly the evening. Whether it's me running events, whether it's me going to events. I have not been networking at Gen Con. People go to Gen Con in my profession to network. I have simply gone to run events, to make money, to kind of grow the business via seeing clientele. I need to see professionals. I need to see other YouTube online content creators. I need to see game designers. I need to do the things to lock in Milestone Play as a part of this economic structure. So when I go to Gen Con this year, I will be staying in the hotels around the convention center. I will have much more time at the convention. I will not be having to drive in. I will not have all this additional time where I'm just hanging out. I'll have to make time to hang out. I want to see the people I want to see, but I'm going to Gen Con as a business. But since I've been going to Gen Con as a business, I have not fully committed to that. This is the year of commitment, and I need to commit to these big events as a full-on business opportunity, a networking opportunity, a growth opportunity. So that is going to be the biggest commitment of this year, is locking in and fully committing monetarily, time, everything into having Gen Con be what I need it to be, as opposed to a bit of business, a bit of pleasure, seeing old friends. I need to commit. I need to lock in. Now, last year when I talked about Gen Con, I said, oh, I won't be going to any other conventions probably. This year, I will. I will be going to at least to Lilac City Comic Con. I'm going to be looking at some other opportunities for conventions as well as Renaissance fairs, of seeing how I can integrate myself into the cons, the fairs as a business, as opposed to just a goer. But those things are still in the works. We'll see how they develop, but I know that there will be more than Gen Con. But still, Gen Con is the big focus. So that's 2026. Those are the things I need to do. I need to commit to these in-person gaming opportunities and growing them as a business. I need to record games for advertising for my business. I need to simplify my video production and have more online content more consistently for my business. I need to commit to the conventions I go to and figure out how to make the most of them for my business. Milestone Play is a business, and I need to commit to it. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely.